separate the men from the boys. The boys are huddling in their communities looking for confirmation bias. The men have done their research. We're going to take you to a level of nerddom that you've never even seen before. As we scroll through what are today's top trending projects and we link it to FOMC documents. I've got an entire Excel spreadsheet put together just like all of our other live streams, going over exactly what's inside the Clarity Act. Our responsibility as traders is to correlate this to the altcoin market. I'm going to give you guys a huge vetting point right now that we've discovered that's paying enormous gains right now, and it's just getting started. That's this. Inside the Clarity Act, one of the key pieces of information is this. The Clarity Act is going to cover IP verification. This is humans. This is AI agents. This is also meme coins. Billions. We scooped this up inside VIP at 4 cents and under. It's on Coinbase. Guess what we were talking about 48 hours before we picked this up? We were saying, wowzers. Bio we know is ripping to the upside, and we're going to get into the details on how high that can go. You know what else we discovered? And this is huge. Smash the like button for this. You guys know Troll, right? It's a meme coin. We don't trade meme coins on this channel, do we? Here's the thing. This isn't a meme coin anymore. It's a whole new sector of crypto. What happens specifically on Solana in these degen meme coin casinos? You see these guys coming out with Troll 2, Troll Face, Troll's Daddy, Baby Troll, Giga Troll. Troll is now IP protected and it can be verified on chain. Just like a copyright infringement on a social media platform. Booyah. So Troll, ready to rip. Also, here's the secret sauce. To the layman investor, and this is what's going to separate the men from the boys. And I don't mean Compound V for everybody watching The Boys, the show. This is happening on May 14th. What have we been talking about inside our live streams and in VIP? The PPI inflation print. That's coming out, guess when? 24 hours before then. Well, what's the big deal? It's just data. What are you looking for? Favorable data? Oh, no. This goes way, way beyond just good data. PPI has been plaguing the altcoin market. Look at this. This is Bitcoin's chart. January 14th, January 30th, PPI is just dumping the market. Guess what happened at the last PPI print on the 14th? Remember how we were always saying April 8th, right? We were like, make sure your bag is loaded in altcoins A, B, and C for April 8th. Why? Because it aligns with the FOMC minutes. When that minutes comes out, we're going to want to already be in those positions. Last year, the FOMC minutes on April 8th right here. What did the White House do? They ordered a giant ceasefire. People thought, wow, that's kind of a coincidence. I remember Jesse saying April 8th. And it's the start of this trend of reversing data. We've already seen this on Tau with Siren and Tau breaks to the upside. So PPI trending downward. PPI has everything to do with tariff-based inflation. That's the May 15th trend line. I honestly find it criminal negligence that people on social media aren't talking about not the Bank of Japan carry trade, because that is a bit nuance. They're not talking about the May 15th trend line. It's on every chart. And what it represents is tariff-based inflation. What we're looking for right now as altcoin traders, yeah, HODL traders are looking to build more Caspa. I saw somebody post a tweet saying, how can I get more Caspa? What would be a good trade? Imagine, let's just say you got in VVV. You put all the puzzle pieces together, you got in VVV. This is ripping to the upside, and we're gonna do a study on VVV, showing all its strengths, all its weaknesses, how it aligns with the Clarity Act framework. Therefore, we can assess what projects are actually gonna start to rocket once this Clarity Act goes live. Press thumbs up if you just found out about IP verification. Nobody's been covering that. It's a huge narrative. It's definitely targeting Troll. Troll is rallying because of IP verification. And there are other meme coins. You can actually find those on CoinGecko. Bio is doing a very unique IP verification. The nerdier you get, the better your trades are. Inside our VIP group, at this last FOMC minutes, I had all these documents open and then we had a sound crash. At this FOMC minutes, this is the deep end of Nerdville. So we had already been picking up CFG as a side bag because we like the technical analysis and we like the narrative back here. Ever since March, we were like, hey, this has got a decent chance of going. Today, Coinbase is announcing, guess what? We'll be running our stocks on Coinbase, the S&P 500. Coinbase is becoming like a Robinhood Webull. We'll be running these on CFG. But that's what they want you to know as a retail trader. What we know, just like the secret sauce behind May 14th, is what's actually happening in the macro environment. So this is the deep end of Nerdville. So after we evaluate the FOMC minutes, we find out what it's telling us about the market in general. We're looking for specific insight on target projects, and we find a new target project. This is exactly how we found River, by the way. River, inside that FOMC minutes on December 30th, they said, we'll be buying treasury bills, thus kickstarting a flywheel on real yield projects. We have that all outlined. Ultra nerd. Look at what this last FOMC minutes on April 8th already said, and this let our VIP group members get in. I had this one guy DM me, he says, Jesse, I owe 35 grand in taxes. I'm just gonna go all in on CFG, double up, and then take it out and pay my taxes. Do your own research. I don't condone that behavior, honestly. This is what it said in the minutes. Credit markets remain readily available for qualified borrowers who meet standard conforming loan criteria. The credit performance of corporate bonds remained solid for both investment and speculatory grade firms and was supported by robust profits at large corporations. We then get the paragraph and the line, and that was our signal that the tokenized credit sector, and therefore CFG, which in the Coinbase newsletter, guess what they said? They said, oh yeah, we'll be picking up CFG because they can handle tokenized credit. So we already identified that right here on April 8th, 18 cents. So we're picking this up as a side bag. We like this, but we don't love it yet. We're not really deep into this position. The FOMC minutes hit, and now we're saying it's on. CFG is a beast. We want to load up on this project. Now, right now, CFG has already crossed that key, May 15th trend line, which makes it a multiplier trade. You guys love Caspa. You're waiting for Caspa to break out. We all kind of realize this harsh truth. With a hard fork happening in 30 days, institutional investors, they want to see that take place and then load up. That's not really gonna start ramping price up. And whatever we say online with the top 100 projects, it's not gonna impact price. You gotta get down into the sub-million market cap, the real degen stuff for social media, retail traders to even be able to affect it. The market makers control the bid-ask spread. They're handling CASPA, as many conspiracy theorists talk about with MEXC, right? So this has got time to cool. The beauty of the May 15th trend line is CFG is already above it. So just like VVV, it's ready for unrestricted growth. There are no massive macro trend lines holding VVV back ever since it flipped it right around February. And that's back when Tal and Siren broke out. VVV is just rallying. People are saying 100. I agree. I'd probably take profit at 75, 80 and just let the retail traders have the rest and then rotate my VVV into CASPA after the hard fork. Now you're getting insane upside on VVV, and now you're gonna multiply it into CASPA. Boom! The multiplier trade has got me more thank you notes than you can imagine. Now, VVV, that ship has already left. You wanna leverage trade it, you wanna time your breakouts, you can. You wanna catch some upside as a swing trader, more power to you. Let's look at our top 100 trades because I just want to express the men have been separated from the boys. We've shown clearly what this level of nerddom can do for your trading when you really start digging into this macro stuff. So we're looking at Zcash, and we've obviously got swing trades down a bit lower here, but we want to leverage trade this. This is a top 100 asset, and we're seeing it's making that big bull flag, right? It's just got that almost picture perfect bull flag. So we set up our liquidation cutoff at 300, and now check out this. When Zcash breaks above 400, the top of the flagpole, it will accelerate to the upside as anticipated. We're ultimately waiting for the Bank of Japan on April 28th to give a no rate hike ruling. For those of you guys in VIP or who listen to a lot of our live streams, you probably picked up on, oh, the Bank of Japan carry trade, that might happen. For you in the CASPA community, guess what the all-time high was? When the Bank of Japan hiked rates, but that's another story. So the Bank of Japan, this is deep into the level of nerddom that can help us separate from the pack. This is top performance by far. So our plan is, once the Jerome Powell of Japan, I can't remember his name, once he says no rate hike in Japan, it's on. We go 6x, we keep our liquidation below 300 on the 28th of April. Let's zoom in on that. We're here. So we're in at 337. We get a fake out to the downside and then explosive growth. So those guys are up about 10x right now. They can close that down, they can let it ride, they can cover their capital and then rotate into some of these projects that we're just getting warmed up here with bio. And I'm gonna get into all the details on why in a second. Billions, right? This is going back to our checklist. I'll be editing this on the fly just to change the wording. You guys know I hate writing out and. But my computer crashed, I had to restart this. IP verification. They're doing this in meme coins. Billions is doing this specifically, like that's its use case. So inside VIP, we start putting together this theory back here just a week ago. We're saying, you know why Billions is running? And you know why Troll, which we never trade meme coins, but we want to do Troll because we already picked up on Troll's got this IP protection. And we said, you know what? This is trending. And now we've gone and done research into the Clarity Act, and I put it together for you guys right here. IP verification, this is going to be huge. This is going to protect degen meme coins, it's going to protect discoveries. It's going to protect intellectual property. This can roll into social media projects. This can roll into a bunch of different sectors of crypto, guys. This can be beefy. So you want to keep that in your back pocket. My plan for CASP is to wait until after the hard fork, reevaluate my RWA super nerdy swing trades, take profit off them, and then load it into CASPA at the low, a multiplier trade. There's really no point in doing a channel on just let's hodl CASPA, although using our macro insight, we could definitely time the lows. You guys saw our X post, right? A lot of people, my personal trainer, trains somebody who's in the CASPA community, part of our VIP, and he's like, oh, I don't watch Jesse anymore. He turned his back on CASPA. 12 hours before the MSCI regulation, we identified CASPA's going into a bear market until Powell retires. So Powell's out of the way now. This thesis that's 6 months old has came true to the day, to the dollar. And once this hard fork's out of the way, CASPA will be in line to get hooked up with some of these bullish factors, particularly IP verification, which Eagra Labs is working on right now. So that's big. So there's levels to this stuff, guys. You take the chart for VVV, take a screenshot of it, stick it in Grok, ChatGPT, Claude, say identify this pattern. It'll say it's a V-shaped recovery. Do the same for bio, it'll say it's a V-shaped recovery. The key turning point, this is back when we were swing trading Tau. And this is playing into what's about to happen on the 14th. This is the exact same setup with Tau. So we're down here at the bottom. This is that February 6th labor market report. The data changes direction suddenly. Now we're not going to have stagflation. It's good. Here, guess what happened? There's now, AI jobs are displacing workers in Silicon Valley, and so AI rips. And that was a headline we could see 4 or 5 days before that print came out. Really like, okay, this is it. These AI projects are on a rip. Siren, we've got that all these trading plans unlocked in free tier in the descriptions. You guys can bookmark this video, come back and read those when you want to actually do crunch time. See kind of what we are thinking as we're getting into these huge monster gainers. And we can use this exact same technique right now, which is getting to the point on why this May 14th event is so big. May 14th is when the PPI print's coming. And the last one, which set off a rally in particular projects, like look at this. Oh, April 14th, that's when the PPI data came in and it said inflation is lower. Remember what Jerome Powell said at his final meeting? He says, the board is divided right now. That means that the data coming out in this month is high impact. This is going to decide, hey, is Kevin Warsh going to be a dove or is he going to be a hawk? It's all coming down to this. So the jobs data just came through. Now, a lot of people would look at that and just say, oh, they pumped up the NFP, new jobs, unemployment was steady. Inside our VIP group, we picked up on an additional trend because we are deep into this stuff, a level that nobody's at. What we're talking about is the U6 data. So before the print even came out, we had already recognized what we're looking for specifically for the AI jobs displacement narrative is a low U6 number. What this means is basically unemployment, but we're talking about more part-time, more temp jobs, more skilled workers. Basically this number versus the regular unemployment number, this has a lot more to do with AI displacement. So what we're looking for here is an uptick. Last month was 8. The consensus is 8, and we did get a slight uptick. It was like 8.2. So that's slightly bullish for AI, but this rabbit hole goes way deeper. It's not as easy as people think, just looking for low and high numbers. What we're looking for at this PPI print, and there's about 3 huge catalysts about to hit. The biggest of all of them is the FOMC minutes. So all these documents, you guys can read this. This is December 30th. This is the document that said river flying to the moon. The Fed starts buying treasury bonds to repair the liquidity crisis from the government shutdown. You can get this indicator for free. It shows all the SEP votes, every FOMC minutes, like right here. This green emoji, they vote, hey, let's have more rate cuts. They add rate cuts. Starts rocketing to the upside. At this green emoji, they say, you know what? That affected inflation. Let's take some rate cuts away. Moving forward to here, they did the same thing. They took rate cuts away. Ever since the government shutdown, which started here, and then Morgan Stanley comes in and they say, we're going to start regulating crypto indexes. And this is exactly why VVV is showing such strength based on this hypothesis I'm going to explain to you. So as soon as Morgan Stanley comes in and they start regulating crypto indexes, which by the way is the deferred ruling, which means at any time they'll come back and they'll do it again. Projects that listened to Morgan Stanley are anticipated to do well. Projects that didn't and they're still degen will go down. And what they really want to see is blockchain used for real businesses. They don't want to see these Ponzi-nomics that crypto was almost forced into while it was a new technology, just amongst nerds in the basement. So ever since this government shutdown, there's been a liquidity crisis in the whole banking system, and this definitely affects the market makers, the exact same guys that are manipulating Caspa's price, according to the conspiracy theorists on MEXC, right? They control the bid-ask spread. If they're doing liquidity for exchanges, they're doing liquidity for gold, silver, stocks. These are like the richest guys in the world. The Fed starts buying these treasury bills to put more cash in the system. And their target date is April. Right now. So in this FOMC minutes, our studies show it's going to read this. We bought excess treasury bills. We have overprinted money essentially, creating excess liquidity. And there's router documents that we can pull up confirming this thesis. Also, the majority of this liquidity is going to go into the AI sector. Notice how Egra Labs is looking to pivot into AI. It's going to be one of the booming sectors. As banks get more money, they're going to loan it out to AI. The Clarity Act is going to clear the way for that. That entire Gary Gensler concept, and this is linked to that, this Morgan Stanley regulation. Is it a security or is it a crypto? They want to start seeing projects that are an actual real world business that are enhancing with blockchain. And VVV, which is an open AI on chain, is just the perfect example of that. As soon as it crossed this May 15th resistance line, which subscribers to our channel know what this is, the rest of crypto, I guess they're just playing dumb. It's the most pivotal trend line across all of altcoins. Whether you're looking at Tau, the total 3, you name it. That May 15th date, it matters. It had a huge impact. It's huge resistance. Projects that are aligned with Morgan Stanley regulation that can flip that trend line from resistance into support, like VVV, are on deck for Huge growth. This guy started its rally on April 14th. The next PPI print is on May 14th, 13th actually. But look, it's aligning with Clarity Act regulation. This is exactly what we saw on Tau. I don't have the trading plan open, but we leverage traded Tau just like we did Zcash. We actually assumed that it would break out earlier. Now we can see fully it's going to break out, started consolidating at the labor market print, has its massive parabolic move at the next labor market print. That's pretty obvious. Same exact thing with Siren. It starts its rally, and these trading plans are unlocked in free tier in the description. Bookmark this video. You can come back and read them and kind of get into our head. How are we doing this? Because we have undoubtedly whooped the market and will gladly enter a contest with any other trader and show our hit-miss ratio and how much our winners are winning, because our winners win the best. We have like 2 of the best trades of the year, and we're locked in for some more, which it's still early on. Based on this thesis right here, right now. So that's the February 6th labor market pin. On Bitcoin, on the total 3, that's February 6th. Everything starts consolidating. Then the next print is here. So by then we flipped that prior high into support, and now we're ready to go parabolic. Kind of similar on Tau. We kind of set this level and then we go parabolic. So Bio started on April 14th. How high does it have to get to cross its May 15th trend line? We got to get above 10 cents. That's that hard psychological level, and also that's aligning with a second key trend line, being the Morgan Stanley trend line, October 10th, right? When we, 12 hours before we printed this, for our VIP members, been waiting for 6 months to show everybody this. This is why we haven't been bullish on Caspa. We've been waiting. The FOMC minutes was released 48 hours before that crash, and they were saying, oh, there's a huge liquidity crisis. So this 1-2 combo of 2 macro prints in a row, jobs, Siren, it's jobs here, and then it goes parabolic. And there's a lot of other examples. Let's look at CFG, for example. So we know that that hard resistance was set at the FOMC minutes when we actually read through the entire document and came out with CFG is going to be bullish because of the FOMC minutes. And that's exactly what we did with River. So this was, and then like 24 hours later, it did this wick, starts consolidating, and now it's been testing. That's the May 15th trend line. Going back to April 14th, yeah, right here. So here's the PPI. It starts testing May 15th trend line. Now it's flipped it. It's flipped it from resistance to support. It might come back down, bounce off the top of 28, and then we're ready for fireworks with all of this. All resistance is now gone. So this aligns with that setup. We're looking for a 1-2 combo. I know it's May. I know it's May, and it drives me crazy that nobody's talking about the May 15th trend line. It's just, they missed it last year, and a lot of their bags rugged. I don't know if it's a matter of pride or what, but they should realize by now. For Caspa to outperform, we need to get the hard fork established, and we also need Egra Labs product to launch successfully. Let's do a deep dive into Bio. let me show you guys something. This is a huge trend right now that nobody's picked up on. We're looking at hymns. So this is male vitality is what everybody knows hymns for. That's just their base. That's how they got their foot in the door. Now, hymns is actually using AI to decode peptides. This looks maxing black pill like clavicular. These young guys, they latched onto this whole narrative, this whole movement, a cultural trend. Men want to become good looking. They have Ozempic, all of this type of thing. This is trending right now in the culture. HIMSS is using AI to make medical breakthroughs. You guys have heard about the new cruise ship? In my opinion, based on my research, let's say that actually went big. It's most likely because there wasn't a lot of news the day it was happening and they're kind of testing out what's going on in social media. Digress. The cure won't be vaccine because the public clearly has vaccine fatigue. It would be peptides, in my opinion. And peptides can cure things like the cruise ship viruses. This is HIMSS. They're in the same boat as bio. It's about a 7 billion market cap. At the jobs report, when Tao broke out, AI displacing jobs, siren, went nuclear. This stock jumped up. So our tactics, our methods work in stocks. And we're going to be looking to expand into option trading on these specific days for huge gains. As a US trader, we don't have access to leverage platforms. Therefore, options trading stocks using this, much more desirable. Here's that PPI. Inflation starts trending bullish, jumps up again with bio. In the event bio cures some ailment, they discover some wonder drug, first off, they have IP verification. Nobody can copy that idea just because AI figured it out. It's theirs. This project can absolutely moonshot. And the technicals and narrative are very similar to VVV. We've got the PPI and the Clarity Act, and then we've got the FOMC minutes. The FOMC minutes is going to be the boom shakalaka catalyst because it's going to say in the document, based on our research, for one, we already know that the banking money is actually going primarily to the AI sector. And two, April was their big target date. April. They're talking about restoring liquidity in April. So that document comes out, it's basically going to say the AI sector's ready to explode. Meanwhile, on-chain, they're launching some peptide project. It's kind of like a virtuals. But instead of getting an AI agent, what do you get? You get IP-verified medicine solutions, the human genome. This is also why this is such a rare project that can absolutely moon. Of course, Pfizer indirectly seed funded it. All these other cryptos like VVV, everything, they're working with digital products. You're ultimately going to get an app, a website, a payment rail. It's very finance and digital heavy. This is expanding into medicine, into the real world of medicine with an actual tangible product. Now, before Morgan Stanley regulation, I would say, I don't think so. But Morgan Stanley regulation is here. Therefore, it's supporting this type of real-world use of the blockchain. And the Clarity Act aligns with it in many ways. So there's some other projects and sectors that we can get into. I want to jump into the comments and see what you guys have to say. May 12th, big data day. Absolutely. What's up, guys? because we got CPI first, and CPI is always trending bullish. Render, that is an awesome question, and it's very correlated with the energy crisis. So let's take a look at crude oil. It's trickling down right now. That's great. When you get to these big data warehouses like Render, also, let's put some support and resistance lines on Tau. This was also one of our crystal ball spooky predictions that it's frightening how accurate it was, yet it didn't really like print a ton of money just because we could predict this, but it's pretty cool. Check this out. So these are the PPI levels. We can draw support and resistance off of those two candles, and it controls the candle like almost to an unimaginable level. So that's PPI, PPI. Remember we showed earlier how that's been like super bearish on Bitcoin? That's been what's crashing the market until April 14th, when suddenly it started coming in bullish. Okay, now zooming out on Tau, getting rid of the PPI things to just clean this chart up. Look at that. So those PPI levels are providing pinpoint accurate support and resistance because this is where the institutional levels are setting their big bid ask. This is where they are purchasing. This is where they're unloading. That's why May 15th trend line is so important. And it's almost criminal why nobody is paying attention to it. Thumbs up for the May 15th trend line. Thumbs up for super deep nerd stuff that we're getting into right now. So back to Render. With these compute projects. Now there's two types of compute. You've got your GPU, CPU, at-home, decentralized compute. And then you've got your big data warehouse. Now, we've had some awesome trades on Render. We definitely picked up Render with leverage for this trade, and that's our take profit level, just like on Tau. As oil starts to drop, this is going to be bullish for Render. As oil starts to cool back down and get below 60, even get underpriced, mid-50s, that's a bullish trend for Render as well. Render's in position to start testing this January 30th PPI level. For Bitcoin, that's 95,000. Thumbs up if you guys watch Gareth Soloway. He's one of the masters of crypto. Gareth and I aren't in the same niche. Gareth does Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum, the top 25 projects, stocks and commodities, and he does them better than anybody else. We do altcoins, 100 million market cap to $1 billion. Totally different sectors. Gareth has, and he always has had this. While Gareth and I were some of the few early bulls, us from reading FOMC minutes, right? We're getting all this information deep in the world of nerds, and we're saying, oh yeah, this is gonna start rallying everything up, obviously. Right? Like, obviously. There's no way it couldn't have. Gareth has always had his resistance at 84. Like, that's his first price target. That's PPI. All right? That's one of the PPI levels. Now, those PPIs were released on Friday, but the downside didn't start till Sunday, Monday. That's because the DXY is closed for the weekend. So sometimes you'll get a high impact event, particularly labor markets, are released on Friday. Nothing happens, or worse, it's a fake out on the weekend, and then it rips to the upside. That's what we saw on Tau, March 6th, remember? Like, we got everybody ready for a low labor market print, and then the market's crashing. We're like, was that too low? Was that so low it's bearish? Kind of faked us out to the downside on the weekend, then rockets, right? And then it just rockets on Monday. We have documents inside VIP explaining that, why Monday matters, and the DXY trade. So this Sunday, huge event. As the DXY opens, projects will be positioning. The big question for Bitcoin is, can we pass this and get up to 95. In the event we flip this resistance into support and test this, the 50K Bitcoin theory starts becoming massively weak. You guys know, as an altcoin trader, I've been in that camp. I'm thinking, how can Tau and all these altcoins gain so much ground and then Bitcoin go back to 50? It didn't make sense. Of course, Bitcoin's not our specialty. So with Render, yeah, it's great, connected with oil, so it might not have a lot of power until oil comes down, because it costs money to run a data center. Absolutely. Shout out to the May 15th. So billions is tough. And I'm trading these with you guys, right? I've got a monster bag of bio and a monster bag of CFG. Started out as kind of this thing's had these two aggressive buying lines. And this is the thing where I said, you know what? We can't ignore this. So originally we made a trading plan for it here in March. I thought it's a coincidence. That's the May 15th trend line. It's like right at 27, clear as day. I thought it's a coincidence, right? There it is, May 15th. I'm not gonna make a big deal out of it until this second aggressive insider buying comes up and touches it again. Now I'm like, okay, I'm buying it. I'm sold. This now makes sense. I'm in. So I start loading up here. At the FOMC minutes, when we went into the deep end of nerddom and found out basically what Coinbase is about to tell the world. When Coinbase released, hey, we're partnering with CFG, this is like the hottest news, everybody reads the headline, S&P 500. Okay, we knew about that, but it also will say right in that article, Coinbase partners with CFG because of their credit, tokenized credit market, which is what we found in the FOMC minutes. So ultimately, again, we use that document to find out what sectors are ready to boom. On December 30th, it was RWA. And hey, you can miss. This is like your footwork in boxing. A lot of traders have great technical analysis. They can do amazing vetting, but their footwork's off, meaning they're not aligning with this macro stuff. As long as you get your macros in position, you're gonna have everything you need to come out on top. Back to your question, what about billions? We were just talking about, inside our VIP, we put together this theory. Because Troll, and this is on CoinGecko, you've got to look this up for yourself. CoinGecko has their own category. IP verified meme coins. Particularly for Solana, this is hot. For the Clarity Act, believe it or not. Because what do all these meme coin degens like Crypto Galaxy do? They're on Solana chain, they're looking for the new listing, right? And then what happens? You get a hot project like Troll, that's a cultural icon, that face, the logo, the name. Now all of a sudden, particularly on Solana, there's 100 copycats, and it's just diluting what that really great cultural image would have done. For an example, like Peanut the Squirrel, right? Like this whole meme coin world. Then there's Peanut the Squirrel gets a nut. Peanut falls out of the tree. It's just like, you can't do that, man. Now they can't. For particular ones. So this is aligning with bio. Because as I read the white paper and bio, I picked up on IP verification. That's a really strong point about bio that we're missing. As soon as this AI makes a discovery, it's IP verified. So they cure breast cancer, male pattern baldness, whatever. It's locked in, on chain. Just like Troll. So we figured this out inside VIP, and we're posting about it. And then this new listing comes out, because part of my routine for the guys, this is putting in work. I'm always checking the new listings, vetting through. It's on Coinbase. It was actually, before it was on Coinbase, it was just being traded. Let's pull up this chart. This might give it, no, that's not the right one. It's a new listing. It aligns perfectly with this IP verification. That's what they do. Let's look at the volume. The volume's almost 500 million. The market cap now is 300 million. We're getting the guys in at our target market cap. We aim for 30 million to 100 million. That's where most of our trading plans will be. Deep into the world of nerd. That's where River was, that's where Siren is. And then we also scale up to 250,000, billions. We trade the top 100. There's some amazing trading plans in the description. You guys should definitely read them just to kind of see what we are going over. And a lot of it's teachable. Like for that ZEC trading plan, that's a little bit trickier. There's a lot of technical analysis with that. Pointing out the Bank of Japan will be a hardcore catalyst for ZEC is one thing. Identifying the technicals that support that thesis, that's another ballpark. But a lot of this stuff is teachable. Let's say you're a master of the emoji cloud. You undoubtedly want to connect the deep end of macros to your emoji cloud skill set. This will take you to the next level, guys. This will get you there. This will get you where you want to be. And this is the thing. We're all getting the upside now. What's May 15th all about? The downside. We need to know how and when to take profit. And this stuff is the best for taking profit. Who knows? That guy Kevin Warsh, in 90 days, he might come out and end the market. And everybody's just getting ready. But we'll know. We'll know. We always know. We always pick up on it. We get these signals. Awesome question, bro. Awesome question. What are the price targets for Troll, CFG, Billions, Bio, Monad, ZNBC? In the event any of you guys know a content creator, be them on X, anywhere, and you think they're good, let me know, because I want to learn from everybody. You guys have ever heard of Crash? He's a meme coin trader. Well, I was in Crash's stratosphere on X, and somebody had cued into the IP verification narrative. That's how I was able to connect it with Troll. Otherwise, I would have overlooked it. And I immediately gelled that with Bio, with Egra Labs, which is directly working on it, and the Clarity Act regulation. KYC, anti-botting, all that good stuff. IP verification. So for Troll, that's a beast. It's on Coinbase. That's where you want to be. Also, one of my secret sauces, you'll notice the projects that are linked in the description, they're on Coinbase. For one, I'm an American. So projects that are only listed in these wild exchanges where you need a VPN, don't really go for them unless they're like glaring, unless there's like this glaring signal. We trade, ones that we can get in America. Troll can get going, man. Meme coins, not really my specialty. On this breakout, let me show you an easy target just for May. So we're just talking Clarity Act, bullish PPI, and then the FOMC minutes on the 20th. That's going to say expanding liquidity. Let me pull up one of our tools. Always keep the schedule handy, okay? And it's not like we're going to start taking profit when these prints turn around. It's just going to show a consolidation level. It's going to show us, like right now, we can still get a discount. But when things starts peeling out to the upside, we'll wait. For PCE, durable goods, let's wait. You know what I mean? And let the market cool down, reevaluate the situation, always looking ahead. So just in this, we'll call it the Three Musketeers, incoming events. We've got the Sunday 3 o'clock DXY reopen, which will have a layover from the jobs report, which hinted at AI jobs replacement. Then you got CPI, PPI. Those have both been trending bullish. PPI going bullish will be huge. They're already projecting it will, looking ahead, because they make these predictions, the big economists, for Wall Street. And then the FOMC minutes, which is based on our hypothesis, this is a lock. It's already locked in. It's like gonna be bullish, no doubt about it, because they printed all that money. We've gone into the deep end, tracked the treasury auctions, found accountants who track them with us, and they're saying, well, they overprinted intentionally because treasury bills don't impact inflation. So all I can give you with accuracy is what's going to happen over the next 30 to 45 days. Beyond that, it starts to become more speculative because we don't know what's going to happen, what the Fed's decision is going to be. Although, in the event all this data comes out bullish, that can support Kevin Wash and the board, who, remember, Powell just said, the board is divided, meaning in the event it's bullish data, we're looking at a dovish 2026. This month is super important. So the May 15th trend line has already been passed. That was down here, along with the PPI, January 14th and January 30th. That was running parallel to the May 15th trend line, and those are the key target points, right? For Bitcoin, it's 84,000. That's what Gareth Soloway keeps saying. We agree with him, or it's 95, right? Gareth's the master of trading Bitcoin. I wouldn't even challenge him at it. Our specialty, though, is altcoins, low caps. So we've already passed those trend lines, and you can see on the chart, it's using it as support. So we're good to go. I'm going to throw an extra indicator on here, too. Next key point is October 10th, right here. So what we want to see for Troll, and undoubtedly it will test this range, somewhere between 12 and 8 cents. In the event we can flip the Morgan Stanley regulation from resistance into support, which based on what the Clarity Act is going to do with IP Verify actually aligns with a meme coin, which is something you won't hear me saying, but our research has dropped Troll to us. We flip that. In the event we can get above this final key trend line, Troll is ready for a monster rally in 2026. We get above 12 cents, right? It's on like Donkey Kong. And we have until the end of the month, until the 1st of June to do it. On the more bearish side, we get up and we test this and get rejected. But I think that we're going to at least start consolidating aggressively around this level, maybe even flip it and then start consolidating. Let me show you another key point here, and it doesn't even matter what time frame we are on here. That I'm going to alter into a thicker line is the 200-day moving average. Very important. Jumping over to Bio, let's add the 200-day moving average. We've flipped it, and Bio is really respecting this trend line. See that? It actually wicked all the way up to the 200-day on that initial PPI print, comes down, consolidates, gets back up to it, starts testing it, breaks above, and is now using it as support. As we know, for us who have been around for a bullish time period before, as this 200-day moving average starts to angle upward, the project is positioned to go parabolic. Adding on our Morgan Stanley resistance lines, the May 15th level, the MSCI and the May 15th is aligning. They're parallel. Just like on Troll, it's PPI in May 15th. For Bio, it's Morgan Stanley in May 15th. Between 8 and 10 cents, same thing for Troll. Definitely testing this in the event we can get on top of that level and start using it as support. We just became VVV, technically. That sets us up for a VVV style breakout, particularly with Bio, because it's a real product, just like VVV. VVV is like a ChatGPT on the blockchain. VVV is filling in its entire wick. $20. If you would have said this to people down when it was at $1, they would think you are nuts. Can this go to 100? Absolutely. It's positioned to do so. Bio wicks all the way up to $1. Keep your eyes on HIMS, the stock, because we're going to want to see HIMS and the sector, which is peptides and AI, continue trending to the upside. You can options trade HIMS and Circle using FOMC documents, which is something we're going to expand into inside our VIP group and hopefully on the channel. CFG is tough because with CFG, for one, know this, CFG is above every known major trend line. It has flipped the Morgan Stanley resistance. It has flipped every PPI level, whether it's January 30th, January 14th. It has flipped the May 15th trend line. In fact, Morgan Stanley and May 15th aligned, just like on Bio. We're testing them right now. The sky's the limit for this project. Looking at DeFi Llama, let's get into like some different information, throw some unique perspectives in. The TVL is rocketing. After the Clarity Act, this can flip Ondo. Remember what we said about Ondo in the prior videos. We were saying, yo, Ondo is a great leverage trade right now. It's consolidating sideways. This is exactly what we want to see. This is what we saw on Siren. When you get this tight consolidation, this is signaling a future breakout ahead. So Ondo already started its rally. Congrats to anyone who took that leverage trade. So Bio gets above 10, 12 cents, dude. Honestly, I believe it can go $1, $2. It'll take the path of VVV. Do this for yourself. Copy paste VVV's chart. Ask ChatGPT, Grok, and Claude, what chart setup is this? You should get the response. It's a V-shaped pattern. And then do the same for Bio, and it'll tell you the same thing. Nice. Caspa's a slow burn right now. We've got the 12-cent level. That's important. It's going to take the Fed pivoting, which they're on deck to do based on May's information. 12 cents is a huge pivot point for Caspa. Eager Labs really wants to connect for us to get immediate action. I mean, even in the most bearish scenario, Caspa is like a mighty Zek, which they're anticipating. Arthur Hayes is saying, oh, Zcash, that can get to 1/10 of a Bitcoin? I don't know about that, but if we look at Zcash, it had a lot of consolidation. It really just sat out the entire last cycle. Here's the thing. The Fed wasn't there for us last cycle. They didn't do anything for us, man. All they did was 60 days of quantitative easing. That caused Caspa to start its monster rally back here with QE. And besides that, they were doing quantitative tightening. They were just backing off their hawkish policy. So the most bearish scenario for Caspa is we get extended consolidation until the Fed participates. Here's how it works on chain based on this theory. Egro Labs misses. We're kind of waiting for Caspa to really connect with that home run that we know is coming. What's fleshing out right now is all this RWA, tokenized real world assets. The whole stock market's pivoting on chain. And this is all happening on Ethereum. We already understand how Caspa beats Ethereum there. Now you got the Middle East, Russia. They want to put projects on chain. When they blew up Nord Stream 2, what did Russia do? They took all that energy and they started mining Bitcoin with it. They definitely want a decentralized network to run RWA and AI projects on. This is why Caspa has such an enormous value. BlackRock, Jane Street with Marathon Digital and their allocations in Caspa, they understand this. So after we get this huge RWA season, in the event Egro Labs fails to hook Caspa up with it in 2026, eventually it will catch up, undoubtedly, because there's too much value in the network. And in which case, it'll suddenly, nobody will see it coming and it'll just rip like Zach. Same type of deal. And then just go insanely parabolic. That's my honest opinion. And I've studied a lot of Caspa, believe me. Smash the like button if you're considering getting in bio. It just had a huge technical signal, which is flipping the 200-day moving average. We can go farther into this and get into death crosses and things like that, but just to flip that and to see how much the candle respected it, for technical traders, this is an opening. We see this as a go. Fundamentally, it's aligned with HIMS. It's been moving with HIMS at recent PPI. It's definitely a strong narrative. It aligns with Morgan Stanley regulation. The chart, very similar with VVV. So is the narrative. Other juicy bits from inside Clarity Act regulation. DeFi. Projects like Aerodrome. These are ready to rip. This is the May 15th trend line. This is an easy target over the next 30 to 45 days. Here's something very interesting about Aerodrome's chart. Notice that date right there. That's April 9th. That's when the FOMC minutes was released this year on April 9th. Remember, we were anticipating that could have been a huge catalyst. That's when Trump did a ceasefire, because this huge macro event is happening on April 9th. Trump created headlines to support it, a rally in the stock market, something he's very good at. Right there, April 8th. Look at that. April 8th. That's exactly when Aerodrome started pivoting to the upside. It's when liquidity is getting restored in the market from the deep end of nerddom, where we're reading all this central bank stuff. If you guys already understand how macros impact crypto, but you want to go to the deep end, you're already in the deep end, but you realize how much work it is, RVIP, super friendly price. I get tons of thank you letters from people who are printing money with our trades. I've unlocked a ton of trades in free tier. And of course, we've got to keep in mind, and I've been including this in our posts, be prepared to take profit eventually. Obviously, I'm not planning on taking profit anytime soon. I'm thinking this fall. That's when it looks like these RWA and AI projects should be at a peak. Now, what I ultimately want to do is I want to see Bio rip up to $1-2 range, take profit, and then rotate it into Caspa. Still below the May 15th trend line because the Fed hasn't stepped up with their policy yet. See, right now it's a very sector-specific rally. It's very sector-based because the Fed isn't coming to bat. But policy and regulation is. In the event we can identify with those sectors, IP verification, the expanding AI capex, RWA tokenized stock market on chain, Aerodrome, this is an easy trade. At 50% upside to get to the May 15th level. Aerodrome spent a ton of time above May 15th. There's a good chance that it can break above that. It's already cleared a ton of those resistance lines. And each chart has a different layout. I mean, Aerodrome can do great. Zebek, the only project that I found that ever used the May 15th trend line as support. And guess what the narrative is for Zebek? It's the supply chain management tariff breakout. From reading the FOMC minutes, we identified Zebek as a trade. Group members vetted it and they said, this is it. And it's been using May 15th as support ever since. Finding more juicy information from inside this document, something was on the tip of my tongue. The difference between securities and commodities, all that Gary Gensler stuff is going to be behind us. The exchanges, so any token that's connected with an exchange, like Aerodrome, particularly Aerodrome, that's going to be very bullish for it. Stablecoin framework, this is getting set up. This can be a delayed reaction in River and projects like Stable. Tokenized, oh yeah, that's it. Tokenized RWA. I lost my train of thought here. I'm talking about Monad. Aside from CFG, this is where you want to be in tokenized assets. And to vet these out, what was that one project that some people really liked that I originally thought was okay, but after further inspection, I didn't think it was amazing. XPL. We're underneath the 200-day moving average. Here's the issue, and this isn't a really complex, deep into the nerd end. Sometimes it's as easy as just looking at the basics. We go to CoinMarketCap and we open up the wallets for that chart. The wallets are terrible. There's like really top-heavy 10, and it's not really distributed. Meanwhile, projects like Monad, projects like Bio, they have a much better wallet distribution. So we kind of jumped off the XPL train inside VIP, and we're definitely on board with Monad. Monad can get going right now. Look at this. This Adam and Eve, that's exactly the pattern that we saw on Tau. It's got this hard trend line. that is testing as support, this is ready to accelerate to the upside. This can have huge growth. It's pretty beefy for our group because it's at the 500 million market cap, but this is a great project. It's a whole ecosystem, guys. So this is a great tool, by the way, Crypto Rank. Yeah, it's a whole ecosystem. So now we can open up projects running on Monad, like APR. APR, interesting project. It does MEV bots, but here's the issue. Bad wallets. There's folks, and then some meme coins. So there's an entire ecosystem that's good. But CFG, that's great. That's the money shot. Bio, since we started the video, it's been rallying. It's back to 6 cents. It's going to the moon, guys. This, in my opinion, is the next VVV, undoubtedly. Let's add VVV's chart to it. Okay. And then let's clean this up so we can really just see it in its glory. Okay, beautiful. What we're looking at here is the top performing project, the one that right now we could go back to the December FOMC meeting right here when Powell said we're going to start printing treasury bills. This is when we started vetting out River. And I'll admit, our footwork inside VIP, flawless. We knew, because Powell said it, he verbalized. He said, we're going to buy treasury bills. So we're like, real yield's going to rock it. And we had it narrowed down to, ultimately, we thought this was going to be it. Stable, because the team is so good. This is the same team as Tether. And they've got a great project here. Here's the thing, River beat them to the punch. And we also had half a dozen trading plans for River. How we do it inside our VIP group. So here's where Powell's running his mouth. Here's where we buy into River. We got the trade in the description, and our whole hypothesis was on December 30th, it rips to the upside when they put in writing they're buying treasury bills. It's going to activate the flywheel. When they put it in writing, it's such a huge catalyst. So we must have looked at everybody in our VIP group. We've probably looked at every stablecoin project in the world. Right? Ondo, Aster, River, stable. We could go back to that FOMC meeting when Powell says we're going to restore liquidity, and this is after Morgan Stanley regulation. And what do they want? They want to see projects that are a real business, just using the blockchain to amplify. OpenAI, right? Elon Musk and Sam, they're going at it in court. This is OpenAI basically on chain. You think the institutional investors want to get a piece of that? Maybe. Why not? So anybody would take that. And it was $1 here, and now it's like 17. It can definitely hit 100. That's a real 100xer. What we've done is we've overlaid it onto bio. So bio didn't kick off here. But now that that liquidity is actually getting in the system, what are we seeing with bio? We're seeing these corporate mergers. We're seeing the AI CapEx taking effect on chain. As we brought up in other videos, there's been like Eli Biotech buying Cliffwall Biotech, which is all seed funded by VitaDAO, which is Pfizer. In the event the coronavirus actualized, my opinion from researching AI and medicine is that it would be a peptide. People have vaccine fatigue. They're not going to sell any more vaccines. That's not going on. They could sell a peptide though, right? The coronavirus peptide. That would be huge, but it's really showing a real world business model. Key factor, IP verify, just like Troll, So this is huge and can definitely reclaim the $1 range, in my opinion. Are you still bullish on Zebek? Absolutely. And Zebek is correlated to what we have coming out in the Clarity Act. What does Zebek do? And it's payment rails, identity systems, and infrastructure. This supports payment rails. Let me see if I can pull up the initial Zebek trading plan. This was the first one really on social media. No. What we hypothesized, I'll map out for you what it said. Because we were reading the FOMC minutes like we always do, and actually we use the FOMC minutes to sell our bag. Remember I showed all those posts where we were like, whoa, at this green emoji, they just said, we're actually taking away rate cuts because of tariffs. Everybody's like, rah, rah, rah. Trump won the election. He went to the Bitcoin conference. It is on like Donkey Kong. We're going to get so rich. And then Trump's like, we're going to do tariffs. And the Fed's like, we are canceling the bull run. In writing. In writing. So the SEP vote comes out here. And I just dumped my bag. I'm like, whatever. But we're anticipating the end is going to come when the Bank of Japan hikes rates. Remember, that aligns perfectly with this Zebek trading plan. Zcash, the Bank of Japan doesn't hike rates. Once ZEC breaks above 400, it goes nuclear. Bank of Japan is a big deal. Once it goes above 400, it went nuclear, just like we predicted. How did we know that? Is that technical analysis? It's the hybrid method, guys. Whether you're using the emoji cloud, whatever your technical analysis is, I can get you up a step, 10 steps. I can improve your game by joining the ultra nerddom that takes place in our VIP as we do a deep dive into this stuff. Because what was it? There's these macro dates, January 14th. The January 14th PPI trend line, remember? Just like we set up on Tau, just like Gareth Soloway with Bitcoin at 84K. We know once we get above that, this thing's free and clear. Once we get above that, it's free and clear. Boink. Bank of Japan. Anyway, back to where we are now. We're anticipating it all crashes at the Bank of Japan hike when this becomes official, and it does. All these FOMC documents, they weren't talking about April. They were talking about tariffs, and the incoming inflation from it. Therefore, we start researching supply chain management. And the way we'll typically do it when there's going to be a big catalyst, a big event, like the last breakout on bio, which was here at 3 cents, there'll be 2-3 options of projects that we think are going to rip. Bio at the Bank of Japan and FOMC meeting, also a durable goods print. It was between this and PRL. PRL ripped after the Bank of Japan. So it was basically just bio in the AI sector. So out of our pick 3 concept, we came up with 3 projects that did supply chain management And then our VIP guys in the Discord, which during a bull run was like popping off. There was like insane amounts of people in there. It's been more quiet on social media. We're just starting to get some chat going back in Discord. If you want a link, DM me in Patreon. We notice the insiders are buying here. Our guys vetted out, and it's Zebek. Flipped the May 15th level into support. That is huge. The next massive resistance is 45. So realistic price projection on Zebek. The October 10th Morgan Stanley level, oh, we're already testing that. So we've already kissed off of the Morgan Stanley level. We've already jabbed it. We're going to flip that into support. And what that's going to do is free this project up from all macro resistance. And just like VVV, it's going to be ready to rip. It can do really well because there are not a lot of projects that have that technical macro setup. And it's powerful. Like VVV cleared all three key lines. The Morgan Stanley line on October 10th, the May 15th line, and all those PPI lines. You get above all three, you win. So this can win. This can be good. Rizzy asking about late entry into bio. Are we late or are we early? We're still under the May 15th trend line. What you want to get, particularly with projects that are trending up, is you want instant gains, right? We don't want to do is buy this, it's already pumping, and then start to see downside. So in the event we can time this entry correctly, it'll eliminate a ton of mistakes that we're going to have, maybe thinking, oh, this is going to crash, my stop loss is hit. Stop losses are great. We want to have stop losses. We don't want to hit them, though. Let's really look in and refine this. Okay. Zooming in here. We're still under the May 15th trend line. That's between 8 and 10. Now, it aligns directly with the Morgan Stanley trend line. This is the exact same setup as CFG. 8. That's going to be a resistance. The next big event, Sunday at 3. Now, we're looking into the last labor market print, which just happened on Friday. It wasn't really bullish. It wasn't bearish, though. And there was a nuance element in there that does favor the narrative of AI job displacement. And we were looking for this before it even came out. That's U6. Instead of just unemployment, U6 is looking at part-time skilled workers, the exact kind of jobs that AI is going to take over. So what we really wanted to see is non-farm payrolls drop below 75, unemployment rise above 4.3, and then we wanted to see U6 go through the roof. That's pouring gasoline on the AI sector, which is already a bonfire because of all of this stuff, which is going into AI, which we've seen in real time with bio, with these mergers and takeovers and stuff. They're launching some peptide project on the 14th with the PPI, with the Clarity Act, waiting for the PPI. That's one approach. But waking up at 5:30 in the morning, looking at the data and buying in then, that might help you instantly capture upside, but you probably want to get a little bit more aggressive than that. Because let's be honest, it could pump up quite a bit by Wednesday or Thursday. It could even start testing that 8 cents. I would start paying attention to the Sunday 3 p.m. That's 3 p.m. Vegas time. This is when the DXY reopens. Now, you can see this really clearly with Bitcoin. Just open up your Bitcoin chart and take a look at January 14th and then January 30th. Those will both be a Friday. When you get a print on a Friday, right here, there's Wednesday, right? And then you get Fridays here. The drop off didn't really come till Sunday when the DXY reopened. There's been so many times when we've captured really good swing trades as it reopens. On this January 30th one, Sunday, Monday come around, yeah, and there's even more downside. I'll give you an example of this working out bullish. I'm not saying IP is a good project. I'm just saying we caught a good swing trade on it. Because after trading it, we later vetted it out and realized it's really not that good. Right here is like the Sunday DXY reopen. So we're seeing all of this upside. We got a bullish macro print on the Friday, which we're waiting for the market to reopen. The bond market, the DXY, all these trading bot algorithms, and the institutional piggy bank, it's closed on the weekend. So you're going to see an instant knee-jerk reaction on crypto. One of the best examples is our IP trade. So we get this, and we were like looking for one in VIP all weekend, right? That's all we did. We're like, we're going to find, I can't even remember what it was. It was like bullish CPI inflation or something. We're like, we're going to find this. Something's going to break out. We're going to find it. And then we narrow it down to IP by Sunday afternoon. Hours before it turns on, we're like, it's IP. Using all these technical signals. So we get it, and it rockets up. And then the Fed ended up doing a surprise PPI inflation, which actually was a Wednesday. That wasn't on a Friday, but it took until Monday to hit Bitcoin. So rockets to the upside even caused the Fed to do a surprise inflation print. So you got two options for safety. Wait for the Sunday DXY and, give it an hour or two to play out. What you want to see is the DXY dropping sharp. And then you want to see this ramping up. Or you could wait for the PPI on Wednesday. It looks pretty solid. That's the 200 moving average. And remember, this is a low cap. So it's high volatility. Let's take a look at VVV and just see, hey, what kind of action are we looking at here anyway? Like, what does one of these top performing 100x projects look like when we score it? Because it's going to be a sweat. And that's why it's so important to time our entry, because on these high risk or projects, we want to start winning right away, right? With our Caspa initial investment, here's where they did the QE. Caspa was the #1 performing project across altcoins. We understood what was happening. There was actually a banking crisis, kind of similar to what's happening right now, but the Fed, they approached it differently. Instead of doing treasury bills, which don't impact inflation, the Fed went all out and they used long bonds, which Caspa as a store of value connects with. Now, we didn't know this at the time, but this is when Marathon Digital, therefore BlackRock, Jane Street, they're building warehouses full of Caspa miners. And we're hypothesizing on our channel, hey, have you guys heard of Caspa? We think something big's going on because of how it moved with the banking sector. You get what's going on at this deep of nerd level? Where did I learn this? I've been to every seminar, every book. I really learned the most of this stuff from Roaring Kitty in the GameStop swing trade. I was in the GameStop trade. This is like some action right before it rocketed to the upside. Roaring Kitty went to college for economics. He's a real stockbroker. Really turned me on to this. And we've adapted it over the past 4 years for low cap altcoins. You can see all of our trades in the description. They're the best market wide, in my opinion. I don't think anyone can even hold up to us. I don't even think they're even close for results. Bottom line. And it's teachable. Whatever you're doing, Emoji Cloud, I'll take you to the next level. In our VIP, it's like $47 a month. You learn as you go. Suddenly there's an emergency event. The Fed comes out, they're going to crash the market. You'll know. You'll know it happened. You'll know, connect the dots. I don't believe in copy trading. I create these theories and hypotheses supported by Fed information, linking it all together. One trading plan usually has a bunch of different links. So it's your trading plan. I just throw ideas at you. So with Bio, the idea would be check out the Sunday DXY reopen. Market reaction. We could get like another pullback to 5. I don't think it'll go all the way back down and retest the 200 SMA. Oh yeah, VVV. We want to see, well, what kind of chop do you get? Went from 3.5 to 2. Went from 5 to 3. Went from 8.5 to 5. So we're seeing like 40% swings. You can map that out on the fib, right? And trace it. But we're seeing big swings. Now its regular chop is from $10 to 80. So when it's consolidating just recently 10 to 80, that's a pretty tight. Here, when it had just flipped the May 15th line, we're talking 7.5 to 5. So we're talking about a 33% volatility, which is common. These are low cap. These are the rocket fuel ones. I think that's fine. It's definitely aligning with this. And here's the other option. You can layer in, depending on how aggressive you want to get, layering in's a good idea. I layered into Caspa. Of course, I did a big position. So if you want to do like a big position, maybe start at Sunday. Like if you were like, I want to do 25,000, right? Like a pretty big chunk. Start with 10,000 an hour after the Sunday DXY reopen. And then just plan on piecing it together up until PPI, 5:30 in the morning. Layering in, it's fine. It's a good idea, actually, if you're going big. Tau subnets, that's a really, really good question. Throughout the years, I have seen a zillion different ways to market Tau subnets. And I've seen it all fail. So I would probably stay away from Tau subnets. And if you're gonna trade them, I mean, just do quick flips. It's at the point where now, I mean, I've looked into it a lot. There's a bunch of different, there's like Tau bot. I could pull up my watch list and see what we got. There's like a bunch of them. Creator bid. There's a bunch of them and they've all failed. Different ways of branding Tau subnets. So I would just go with Tau. I wouldn't get into subnets personally. I think it's interesting, but they haven't had any success marketing it. Yes, Bio is, so with all of our swing trade picks, I've got CFG and Bio. CFG from the FOMC minutes. This is the deep end of nerd where we read this. This is in that document, the FOMC minutes, the same one that tells us April, right? This is how we found River. Right here. And bet your bottom dollar, we had a handful of trading plans, I'd say about a half a dozen, targeting River, with the breakout date being when this official document says the Fed has started Treasury bill repurchasing. Powell talked it here. That actually caused VVV to start. It's upside. But once it was in writing, that's a whole new ballgame. So in this recent minutes, in the deep end of being a nerd, doing all your homework, covering all your bases, which for vetting projects alone, we have a 24-point checklist system. It's a printout. One of the big differences in our VIP group is on top of all these insanely awesome trading plans, make sure you guys find the menu screen, by the way. I don't know how many people have joined the group that don't even know that there's a giant menu screen. When you get into the group, you'll be on the homepage, go to collections. And then you have weeks of entertainment and education here. The new member fast track, and we'll just explain to you the market model. We've got all these macro indicators. I need one of these right now. I need the FOMC minutes. So what you do is you get this code, you copy it, all right, my mouse isn't working. And then you paste it into TradingView. So we give you all these printouts. One of them's a 24-point checklist. So when you're vetting a project, you go over every single point. Example, did you check the GitHub? Because some of your AI projects might be doing a huge pivot into X402 payment. We found this using our simple system for AI XBT. The purple toad, that could have a big breakout. And we give you some technical analysis stuff too. There's the pattern directory explaining all the psychology of the different patterns. This drives me nuts. People with like 100,000 subscribers, they don't even know the difference between a rising wedge and an ascending triangle. It just drives me nuts. One's bullish, one's bearish, they're completely different. They think if a triangle's pointing up, it's an ascending triangle. It's goofy. It's like bird watching. You have to be really careful. I've been meaning to update this because this is the 2023 market. Deep in the world of nerds, this FOMC document, it just said straight up to me, Jesse, buy CFG. Fast forward, Coinbase, they basically just reprinted what's in the FOMC minutes. You guys heard Coinbase did a partnership with CFG. The headline is because of the S&P 500 tokenization, which we knew inside VIP, but it also says Coinbase partnered with CFG because of their credit. They're going to handle their tokenized credit, which we picked up on inside the FOMC minutes. Now we have to know the altcoin market. Okay, you can't vet out credit projects, I don't think at least, but we know our projects. So we said, oh dude, that's CFG. And that was 18 cents. 2 weeks later, now it's in the Coinbase news on top of every known trend line. So this is great. I can up your game. I have something worth money for you. Bottom line, you want this. You want to be in this group. It's awesome. Especially with, there's a new FOMC minutes coming out in 11 days. We're going to read that, and it's going to have more information that we need. All right, guys. Pump Fund had a breakout, is that right? Let's take a look at Pump Fund. I don't know if that's a breakout. Awesome, guys. So yeah, Bio, watch for this one on Sunday. CFG is huge. And it's all these narratives, particularly, this is the secret sauce that connects Troll, a meme coin, to Bio, and even Egra Labs IP verification. It's going to be a big part of the Clarity Act nobody caught on with. This is how we got in on billions. We go to the top trending projects. We're always in the top 10, man. We're always catching these billions, right? We're always catching these rippers. So this is it. The FOMC minutes is the secret catalyst based on our nerddom we have established, because dude, nobody's doing this. And it's giving us like the biggest edge. Try matching our results. Just match our results. Average all of our trading plans. Of course, we miss once in a while because our hand position might not be right, but because our footing is solid, we're knocking them out of the park, left and right. We'll challenge anybody, anytime. We've obviously won for 2026. We have the best results. This method is yielding them. It's not necessarily my experience. It's just the method. It's just the insight. Whatever you're using right now for a skill set, when you combine it with this macro stuff, it'll get you to the next level. Absolutely. So we're looking at the big pump. When that minute comes out, it's going to say, remember how we've been talking about April for like the past quarter? Well, guess what? April is here now, and we overprinted. That's what it's going to say. We printed too much money. There's extra money going into the AI sector with all this Clarity Act stuff. So now we're going to add a little technical analysis to that. Bada boom, right? And we're going to get projects on top of the 200-day moving average, projects on top of key macro trend lines, specifically the May 15th line, because what we want to catch is the next VVV. Awesome. All right, guys, we'll do another live stream tomorrow as the Sunday DXY approaches. We might get a clearer picture on what's on first, who's on second, and we'll have more insight into what's going on in the market right now, how to get ready. Thanks for checking out this video, guys. Make sure you hit thumbs up, leave a comment, hit subscribe. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.